Right, good morning ladies. Today we're going to do a box. We're not doing a card today. And it looks very complicated, but I can assure you it's not really. It's footery, but it's not complicated. You can see it's got a wee bit stuck in. Okay? Right, you will need an A4 sheet of card, a scorer, a pencil, a ball tool with a very small point, a ruler, a pair of scissors, glue and red tape. Okay, so to start off with, if you put your card on your guillotine or your cutter and cut it at 8 inches, and that's on portrait. Turn it round and cut it at 10.5. So you will now have a piece of card that measures 10.5 by 8. And if you bring in your scoreboard on the inch side, and start off with landscape, and you will score it at 2.5 inches, and this is the right side facing, 5 inches, 7.5 inches, and 10 inches. And you will turn it clockwise so that your 1/2 inch is at the bottom, and you'll score it at 2.5, 5, and 7.5. Okay. Now, I'm going to take this piece and this piece. This is my 1/2 inch piece at the bottom, the long side. Sorry, the short side. I'm going to take them totally out. Oh, should have done this first, sorry. Burnish all your lines first. It's easier to do this now. This card is maybe a wee bit thick for this. So that's me creased and burnished all my lines. Okay, so now I'm going to cut out these two pieces. And I'm going to angle this wee tab on this next bit. So I'm just as well doing it while I'm taking my piece out. I've got a wee tab there, and I've taken that piece and that piece out. Okay. Now turn it clockwise again, and you've got your 1/2 inch piece at the bottom, and I'm going to cut up to this first score line on these 3 lines. Okay, so now I have 4 flaps. This first flap, this one here, I'm going to take that totally out. So cut along this score line. Okay, now this middle flap, you've got 3 flaps left. The middle one, just put it back on itself because you're not doing anything with that at the moment. And about 2/3 of the square, I'm going to cut right across. And the same on this end piece. So on that side piece, I've taken, that's where my 1/2 inch is. I've taken that bit out, and that bit out. Okay. And these 3 flaps, this one, and this small one, I'm going to angle slightly. And you can see I'm not taking a big piece. Okay, and that's all my bits taken out. Now if we turn it all the way round, so we've got these 4 squares here, and there's no 1/2 inch at the bottom, I'm going to cut up this first one and the second one from the right hand side. Your wee flap is to your right hand side. And I'm going to cut up to my score line. And on these first 2 pieces, now that flap there is 1/2 inch. So I'm going to cut approximately 1/2 inch off, leave 1/2 inch on that one. And the same with that one. Okay, and I'm going to angle them. Both of them. Okay. That's how it looks now. Now you've got 4 squares here. If you get your ruler and your ball tool, and you put your ruler right into the centre of the 4 squares and mark it on the line at 1.5 inches and 2 inches with your ball tool. Turn it from the centre again along this line, 1.5 inches and 2 inches, and you do that all the way round these 4 squares. So 1.5 and 2. On the last one, 1.5 and 2. Now, you put your ball tool on your inner dot and take it, your ruler, to your inner dot on the next line and score across. Then put it on the outer line, the outer dot, and take it to your outer dot on the next line. So you now have 2 parallel lines, and you're going to do that all the way around. Inner dots, then outer dots, and it's easier if you lay your ball tool actually on the dot to get it lined up. And you're going to end up with like a diamond pattern right in the centre of these 4 squares. Move that. And there you go. Now, bring it back round till you have your 2 half-inch tabs here, and you're going to cut up this line to your first. So now you've got 2 flaps. This inner one, you're going to make another half-inch flap. So you're cutting that piece totally out. And again, angle it. Now, I should have actually done this before. So I've got right side facing me, and this is your outer line, and just crease it. Outer line. This is all with the right side facing you. So I've creased all those lines. Turn it the opposite way, and you're going to crease your inner lines. And I'm just putting my fingers behind just to start the fold off. And then lastly, and it's going to look like that, like you've got a wee tree in the centre of your scores. Right, just put that to the side just a minute. Now you'll need a coordinating paper, or a patterned paper of some kind, and you need 6 bits that measure 2 1/4 by 2 1/4. Okay, so 3 of them you're going to leave whole. Take one of your next one and your ruler, and you're going to mark it right on the edge at 3/8. 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to put a dot with my pencil. And I want to do the same, so turn it clockwise, and you're going to do it from the opposite edge. So this edge, 1, 2, 3, and mark it. Take your ruler and draw a line between those 2 pencil marks. Okay. Put your 3 pieces of paper together, make sure they're even. Hold it tightly on the big side, and you're going to cut that off totally. Okay, and you've got 3 pieces now, so you've got like a triangle. So your right angle, I'm going to measure it at 1 1/4 and make a dot. And on this line here, I'm going to do the same. 1 1/4 and make a dot. Draw a pencil line between the 2. Put your 3 pieces together again. Make sure they're even. Hold it tightly and cut across. So that's your waist, and that's your pieces that you need. And they're going to go on, 1, 2, 3 is your big piece. One, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3. So it's going to go on like that, and you'll glue that on, okay? Like Blue Peter, I had one I made earlier. I've put red liner tape right along these 3 tabs and on this end tab, okay? Let your glue dry for a couple of minutes before you start folding it. That's why I've done another one. So I want to take the tape off of the back of the tape, off of this end piece. Turn your card over, fold it in, and then fold that in. And that's made the start of your box. Oh, shuffle. What I should have done was on this edge, so you've got your 2 flaps there. So if I show you on this one that I've already done, it's that edge there that I'm working on. And I'll get a small circle die and put it just about halfway on the page and cut a half moon. Don't panic if you don't have a circle die. You don't have to do a bit. It just finishes the box off. And I'm going to close that flap. Okay. And that's actually the bottom of your box, but that's where it's going to open. And if you take the tape off of these 3 bits, you know what red tapes like to come off. Footery, footery, footery. There we go. Now, put your front piece in. You want your box to be squared. That's why if you close the bottom, this squares it up. And just put your 2 tabs so they've actually stuck to that front tab. And I'm going to put my thumb in here and bring that over and get it squared up. Push too much. Just make sure all your glue's covered and your box is squared. So you've actually made a square, a cube, okay? Now, if you start off not at your edge that you've just stuck together, do that one last. This crease here, you get your thumb and push it in. Turn it round and do the same there and push that in. And then the one that you've, and push it in. And if you just get your ball tool and run it up all those creases. How simple was that? And that's your box made. easy. As I say, it can be a wee bit footery, but it's very effective. Very, very effective. Right. I took it one stage further. You know me, I can't just leave things. And I made 4 together, and I've stuck them together, and I've hidden where I've stuck them together, just with bits that's been, I put a wee bow on it. So I now have a box, 4 boxes that I can put chocolates or different kinds of sweeties in. Very effective. I used Pearl card on this, and it's not really that great because it creases where you don't want it to crease, and it cracks, and so you're better off with just plain card. Okay, so that's my boxes that I've made. Okay, now I would like to do something with you after Christmas. So I'm giving you plenty time to get the stuff that you need together. Okay. So what you're going to need is craft card, which is the brown, just craft card. If you don't have that, don't panic. A cereal box, like a Weetabix box, is brilliant. The inside is basically craft card, so that would work just as well. So you want craft card, an embossing folder. It doesn't matter what it is, as long as it's an embossing folder. You will need dye-based inks. Now, we'll use Distress ink. If you don't have Distress ink, as long as it's a dye-based ink, like I've got these other ones that are Whispers, and I've got a black and a red. I don't have a brown, but and then your, I can get them, your Ranger Adirondack ones, they're a dye-based ink pad as well. So you use what you have as long as it's a dye-based ink pad. Okay, so you'll need 4 colours. You'll need a yellow, a brown, a black, and a red. Okay. You will need a spritzer bottle and glycerin. Now, this you can purchase from any supermarket in the baking aisle. And it's vegetable glycerin. And it's like 70p, 80p, something like that for a bottle. And that, you will honestly use that time and time again. If you want to, your clear embossing ink pads, if you want to revive them a bit, you just put a wee bit on and that revives them. Also, I use it when I'm inking up. It helps with that. It helps glide it. So you will use this again. Now, I can't find my Mod Podge. I had to tidy up last week, and I had it last week, and I've put it away someplace, and I can't remember where, and I just can't seem to find it at all. It'll jump out at me. It's probably sitting where I can see it, and I'm just no noticing it. Anyway, Mod Podge matte. It's a sealer, basically. And you will also need a kitchen sponge for applying the Mod Podge. If you can't get hold of the Mod Podge, when I did my very first one, I didn't have any, and I used watered down PVA glue. It does put a seal on it, but it's not ideal. If it gets wet just that wee bit, it goes sticky. So you're better with a Mod Podge because that does dry. So if you could get these things together, I've got a project for us for after Christmas. Okay? Happy crafting.